Hi, I'm Mark. Thanks for joining me here in my wee workshop in County Down in Northern Ireland. Now today I want to talk about cordless drills, chargers, batteries and stuff like that, and particularly ones that have worn out and what do you do with them. So to get us kicked off, here's a little video that I made about repairing a charger. Must be nearly a year ago now, I guess. Hi, I'm Mark. Thanks for joining me here in my wee workshop in County Down in Northern Ireland. Had a little trouble with my lovely little Works drill lately as the battery wouldn't charge up. Now at first I thought the thing was completely bust, so I thought, well, I better just buy a new one. But how much? So I had to think a little bit harder. Could it be the charger part, or perhaps it could be the power supply? Well, have a look to see what happened. And nothing's... Well, now that's a real surprise. And not only that, it is an absolute delight. I am so pleased with that. What I'll do is I'll leave it for a while because it's going to take an awfully long time to charge up because the charger is so weak. Call that a success. So I got lucky and it was just the power supply. Here's the wee power supply that I found in that cardboard box. It's quite weak. The current rating is only 150 milliamps. That's 0.15 of an amp, isn't it? Yes. Now, current is the rate at which charge is delivered to wherever it's being delivered to. So generally when people hack these things, they try to find a power supply that has a higher current rating, and that means the battery will fill up or charge much faster. For me, this wasn't an issue that it was a very weak one because I can leave them on overnight and that's perfectly acceptable to me. The one problem that I did discover, and I thought was going to be the thing that stopped me dead, was when I opened this up and whew, it smelled really burned on the inside. Now in here, there's a little bit of electronic circuitry which manages the way in which the batteries are charged up. It's called the charge management circuit. If that was burned out, this would have been junk and the whole thing would have been over. So all in all, this was a very simple project. All I had to do was find this power supply and find a little socket that would fit in here. Let me show you what I did. did was make a wee hole in the casing, epoxy in this socket that fits with the power supply, and I've got a nice neat new charger. And the best part, of course, is it was all for free. I do have quite a bit to say about new battery technology and old battery technology and trying to redeem old tools that you can't get batteries for anymore, but I think I'm going to leave that for another video. For the moment, I'm just going to say I'm so pleased to get this done for nothing, and thank you very much for looking in. Until next time, God bless you, and see you next time. Well, while you were watching that, I looked it up. It's actually more than a year ago that I did that. I've been using this Works drill, which is one of my favourites, and this with its battery and charger. My repaired charger has been going for over a year. It's still going very strong. And the moral of that story is, don't necessarily run to buy something new when you can maybe do a repair. But what do you do if it's not the charger but the battery? Because sometimes the batteries on drills are what really give the trouble. Now, if you have a drill with an NiCad battery, that is a nickel cadmium battery like this Makita, then you're out of luck, because nickel cadmium is no longer a viable battery chemistry. Cadmium has been banned. But it's not all bad news, because you can usually get replacement ones, especially if it's a well-known make. You can get a NIM battery, which is nickel metal hydride, I think. It does exactly the same thing, and it will go in the same charger. Just as good, if not better, than the NiCad. Now, you might think to yourself, would it be cheaper to just open up the battery and repack it with NIM cells? Well, I've had a look on eBay. The price of them varies a great deal. I would say, in my humble opinion, it is not really cost effective to try to do that. Buying a brand new battery is probably just as cheap and certainly safer, a safer and easier option. Then you might think, well, why not get really 21st century and repack an old NiCad battery with lithium ion or LiPo, that is lithium polymer cells. You can buy these cells individually on eBay. I found them. But it may not be as easy as you think, because lithium ion batteries are not nearly as robust as the old NiCads or NIMs. You have to be very speedy with the old soldering iron and really have to be comfortable with that kind of electronics type repair. You also have to remember that lithium ion and LiPo cells have a threshold voltage which you must not go below, and that means that if you do modify a battery, you'll have to include a little voltmeter on the side somewhere and always monitor that during your usage. You will also need a special charger which has a charge management system. I think you can see where this is going. It's pretty complicated to do that. I don't think it's really very cost effective either. So what about a lithium ion or a LiPo battery that has just died and won't charge up again anymore? This one's okay. But the trouble with lithium ion batteries is that although they have a much higher charge to mass ratio, which makes them much more efficient, they're not nearly as robust, as I've just said, as the NiCads or NIMs. That means that if they're discharged at the wrong rate and get a little bit lower than their threshold voltage, they won't charge up again. Is there a way to get them back to full health again? Well, I have heard that you can flash these batteries with a higher voltage, probably using a similar battery that's healthy, and this will start them charging again. However, I personally have never come across an example of this actually working. If you personally have had it work, then please let me know in the comments. I'd be very interested to know. But please don't tell me that your brother-in-law knows this guy at his work who knows a bloke who tried it and it definitely worked. Let's have nice first-hand information if you can, please. So is there anything else that you can do with a dead battery to get it healthy again? Well, I suppose what you could do is, if we can get it out, is you could dismantle the battery. There are 4 screws on this one. Investigate the individual cells and then replace the offending one, or maybe more than one. Again, you've got to be very handy with the soldering iron. You've got to be fast in and out quickly, or the heat will damage the cell. Is it cost effective? Well, that's up to you. You'll have to check out what the prices are at the time that you're watching this video and just see if you think it's worth a punt. Oh, one thing that I might say is that I discovered that Lidl do sell batteries for their power tools. And you might be able to get this to be cost effective by cannibalizing one of those. Again, it's got to be something that you check out the prices and do your accountancy properly. Something that you might want to consider is the Frankendrill option. I've seen, I think, John Heights and possibly Matthias Wendell. If I can find where they did this on YouTube, I'll leave links in the description. Where what they do is they take 2 old drills that they have, they maybe are just dead or something like that, but they have batteries for one, and they cut one part off one drill, cut the other part off, and stick the 2 together like this, so that you can power this old drill with one of these batteries. That requires you to have a drill which is either burned out or something like that, but this part is still working, and this drill is still working, but this part doesn't have the battery for it. What's the likelihood of that really happening? Well, if that isn't the case, you can always try and make your own adapter for the alternative battery that you have. I've seen, I think it's Ramblin' Russ Veinot has a lot of stuff about making your own adapters for, I think it was Ryobi batteries that he really likes the best. And again, I'll leave a link in the description about his work about making his own adapters. And if you're a 3D printing person, this could be a really interesting project for you. Remember, as a maker, you're expected to be ingenious. So sometimes you have to come up with your own crazy solutions. The last option for old drills, and I think this is something that's probably going to become more popular as the years go on, perhaps I could turn this back into a corded drill. If I can get myself an appropriate power supply for this at approximately the right voltage, then maybe I can get this going again. And I've done that, and have a look at it here. So let's have a look at our options again, just recap these things. If you've got an old NiCad drill and you want to replace it with a NiCad, 0 out of 10, that's not going to happen. But you can replace it with a NIM, which is 10 out of 10, provided you can get them at the right price. Repacking an old NiCad with LiPos, you've got a lot of work ahead for you and a lot of inconvenience and a lot of expense. I would give it between 1 and 2 out of 10. LiPo batteries, trying to reflash them, I'm going to say 2 out of 10 because somebody somewhere claims to have done it. I have never seen it done. Please let me know if you have done it yourself. 2 out of 10. Repacking a LiPo battery with new cells. Do you know, if you could get these at the right price, I'd say that's a possibility. You have the charger already, you have the skin of the battery, and if you can get the cells at the right price, this might be something that you want to try. I'm going to give it 5 out of 10. The Frankendrill option, I think this could be really interesting and a lot of fun to try and get an old drill back together again, especially if you make your own socket and adapter. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, what about voltage matches? Well, I'm not an electrical engineer. I know a little bit about these things from my background, but I am going to say, and don't quote me on this, plus or minus 2 volts either way. So for example, if you have an 18 volt drill and a 20 volt battery, that'll be perfectly okay. If it's the other way around and you have an 18 volt battery and a 20 volt drill, that'll be grand too. But don't overdo it, and always remember you're kind of on your own because I'm not an engineer and I can't guarantee these things. So Frankendrill, what will we say? 7, 8 out of 10. The new corded option for the old cordless drill. So what shall we say? I'm going to be generous and call it 8 out of 10 for recording old drills. It gets them going again. It's something that's satisfying to do. It costs nothing if you have a few power supplies lying around. You can always wait until you get one from somewhere. And it's a lot of good fun just trying to work it out. So my final conclusions. The way to get a drill working again, if it's a good quality tool, is just to splash the cash and buy a new battery. Repacking them is not cost effective, unfortunately. When it comes to old drills that just don't work anymore, there are 2 options. Recording them, which is good fun, or what might be even better is the Frankendrill option. I would definitely like to have a go at that one of these days. So what am I going to say? Are dead drills something that you just throw in the bin? Absolutely not. Leave them laying around for a while and one of these days you will get them motoring again. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let's do this again real soon, and until we do, God's greatest blessings on you. And as always, thanks for watching.